Okay, we're on. So we're here in Bangor, lovely sunny Bangor on a Friday night, and we've been doing protests in this town now for 2.5 years. And I'm joined by Lorna Smyth, who I think I'm right is a TUV representative and potential candidate for the TUV?
Possibly,
potentially.
Potentially.
And I've been speaking to Lorna, I suppose, for about 6 months about her feelings on what's happening in Northern Ireland and where she thinks things are going. I suppose, first of all, the pressing issue that we've got at the minute is what's been happening up in Ballymena, and you're from the area. What's your take on what's going on, and particularly the way it's been framed by the mainstream media?
First of all, I think the way it's been framed by the mainstream media and politicians is absolutely diabolical. This town has been overrun for years, and it's getting worse, gradually worse. And the residents in Harryville and Kinhult Street and Clonavon Terrace have been crying out for help, and they're not getting it. They're not being listened to. Excuse me, sorry. They've just been ignored. They've been told to be quiet. They've been shoved to the side, and they've just had enough because attack after attack, incident after incident, and nothing is being done. And it's all very well people saying, go to your councillors, go to your MLAs, go to your MPs. They're just doing nothing other than classing these people as racist, as thugs. They're bringing a sectarian divide into it, and it's just horrendous, and is it any wonder people are angry?
Absolutely. And I mean, if I can just comment on that, I mean, from what I understand, again, we're not going to talk about the actual specific case, but from what I understand, one of the families that's affected by this is actually a mixed race family.
It is.
And I was at the event on Monday, the very respectful protest that they had up in Harryville there, and the gentleman that was a coloured gentleman spoke at the event, and he got an absolutely amazing reception from these people that are supposed to be racist. And I think, what do you think about the police's response, about what the assistant chief constable and the chief constable said about what this was about? I mean, he just doesn't have a clue about what's going on. What were your thoughts on what he said?
Again, it boils down to I think it's just ignorance. They just don't want to address the reality of what is happening. And it's not just happening in Ballymena, it is happening everywhere. And these incidents are being reported everywhere, but they're just being swept away, swept under the carpet. And the police are just coming in and just blanketing and tarring everybody with this racist brush, and that is not what this is about, and that rhetoric needs to stop because they're only fueling the flames.
I agree, and I think the other thing is, from what I can gather, because again, I was up there Monday, I was up there Tuesday, I'll be up there again next week, and from what I could gather, it's one criminal element from one very, very small section of the migrant community that's caused all the problems. Basically, Roma gypsies that have been bussed in big numbers, and from what, this is just anecdotal evidence, what people are telling me, they've been running brothels, they've been running prostitution, they've been intimidating people, there's been money laundering, there's been drug dealing. So you're talking a sort of a mini mafia that's grown up in Ballymena. And okay, Ballymena had problems with heroin many years ago in certain areas of the town, but that seemed to have died away. But now this seems to be a completely different level. And to be brutally honest with you, I'm amazed at the patience of the people of Ballymena.
I'm surprised that it's taken this length of time for this to actually happen. I think the people of Ballymena need to be commended for their patience, as you said. They could have done this years ago. They didn't. They were promised everything. We'll sort this, we'll deal with it, we'll sort it out, and every promise has been broken, and that's not good enough. And that's from political side, and that's from the police, and it's come to a head.
I mean, one of the interesting things was, Laura, when I was up there on Monday, we actually got guided into where the riot was by the police, believe it or not. They pushed us up that road because we were driving around the town. We're going to get some more footage, and the police pushed us up to that area. We went down to film it. There was a line of police officers across the road on Clonavon. Is it Clonavon?
There was a line of police officers on Kinhult Street.
Okay, yes. Well, whatever the houses were, the initial attack on those houses, and again, this is just what I'm told, that those houses were connected with the Roma gypsies, right? The first sort of three in that street, right? And when that was happening, there was a row of police officers 50 yards away with high-vis vests on, watching.
Yeah.
They didn't lift a hand. They didn't do anything about it. No. They just completely ignored it. So there's something going on here, and I'm not being conspiratorial, but there's something not right about how this narrative fits together. And then of course, what I saw on Tuesday, because I was up there on Tuesday doing something for Rebel Media, and what I saw on Tuesday was exactly the opposite. The police were coming in heavy-handed. They were harassing people. They kettled people in. I mean, you're not allowed to kettle people in England anymore. I don't know if it's like that in Northern Ireland. So there was. It was almost like they were looking to provoke something that would give them the footage that they wanted. Yeah. And again, I mean, the tragedy in this is that there have been innocent Filipinos and people that, as far as I can see, are not involved in any of this, that were targeted. Because once a riot starts, it's very difficult. This is what people don't understand. Once that starts and it gets kinetic, it's very difficult to put that genie back in the bottle and to control people. Yeah. So, so this is why obviously the violence has to stop, but also the government and the police and the authorities need to start listening to our concerns. I mean, we've been doing this for 2.5 years, and nobody's spoken to us. We got demonised by Stephen Farry.
Yes.
The great saint that is Robert Jenrick set the security service on us to watch us and to find out what we were doing. So we're doing a perfectly lawful and legal and legitimate protest, and we've been doing it for 2.5 years, and all we got was ignored or a little bit of hassle. So I mean, so then you go, well, look at what happens in Ballymena, and it's worldwide news, and so it's a very, very difficult situation to understand what the best course of action is. What is the best course of action for all of us? What do we do?
I think for me, coming from Ballymena originally, I think politicians need to stop. I think they need to stop, they need to think, and then they need to go and meet these people. Don't tar them, you don't know them. You haven't spoken to them, you've walked past them, you've just brushed them off, and that's not good enough. These people elect you to represent them. Represent them. Don't dismiss them. I think that's where it starts. And they need to get rid of this racist, they need to stop that. So they do, they need to take on board that they're causing these problems and they are responsible for fixing it. They need to take responsibility, so they do.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there are some politicians, and I'm gonna commend Jim Allister. I mean, I've spoken to Jim myself about this a couple of months ago. He's on this, he knows what's going on. Obviously, he's very limited in what he can do. He's one MP in a sea of 600 Liberals that basically don't really want anything to do with what we're talking about. So there are some good representatives. Timothy Gaston's another one up there. Alex Easton down here has been very supportive of what we're doing. And again, but they've got to do it very much under the radar, because they'll get so much hassle and abuse from the mainstream media that it will make it very difficult for them to operate. So it's almost like there's a mass, conspiracy between the police, the mainstream media, and the politicians. I mean, Michelle O'Neill, shameful. I mean, how can she, with a straight face, talk about rioting, talk about racism and bigotry when her political party represented the most bigoted, violent, disgusting set of individuals that's ever lived in Ireland? It beggars belief that she was able to get away with that without anyone challenging her.
I think that adds to the problems as well, because the people of Northern Ireland on both sides of the community know that this happened to them over 30 years. And here is a leader, as you say, of a political party which represents the IRA, who 2 years ago stood up and said there's no alternative to IRA murder. And now that she's standing in front of everybody, she wouldn't go to Ballymena and meet the people, but she's standing there saying, you're not allowed to do this, you can't do this is wrong, this is bad, you're racist. That's not an answer, that's not leadership.
No, and the reality is that as we know with the peace process, that whatever we think about the IRA, and I don't have a very high thoughts of them at all, but the thing that brought about peace was when they were brought to the table and were actually talked to. But that's not what's happening now. No. If you're on our side of the argument, you're totally ostracised, you're demonised, and people are left in a situation, and I'm not condoning violence, I'm absolutely against violence, always have been, but people are left in a situation, especially young people, they've got no prospects, they've got no chance of getting the housing ladder, they've got no chance of getting good jobs. They're left in a situation where all they've got left is taken to the streets. And I mean, from my point of view, I think what we need to do is encourage people to take to the streets, but in a peaceful manner. If we can have people on the streets protesting peacefully, like they are tonight, there's probably 100 people here tonight. There's no hassle, there's no aggravation. That's the direction to go in, because again, if tens of thousands of people, if we had 10,000 people down here every Friday night, I think that hotel would be closed right and quick.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lorna, thanks very much for
thank
taking
you.
the time to chat to us. All the best with your political career.
Thank
We
you.
want to see you as an MP, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry for the coughing.
You're okay. You're okay. See, I